Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Vermont in New England once again. This is another one of the beers that my parents brought back for me from their trip over to New England in the States recently. So for this one we are going to go to Vermont, which is of course home to Bernie Sanders. I absolutely love Bernie Sanders and I wish he was the American president. I'll be quite open about that. I felt the burn over here. One of my friends in America worked for his campaign of course, but for this one we're going to the little town of Brattleboro in the southern part of the state, and we're trying my first beer from Whetstone Station Brewery. So this one's called the Whetstoner, which is a Vermont style Session IPA. It comes in at 4.3%, and the first thing you're going to notice is just this is an absolute beast of a can. I've never seen a beer can this big. So according to the American liquid measurement system, which you've heard me complain about before, it's 32 fluid ounces. I'm guessing that in real measurements this is somewhere around 800 millilitres, maybe 750, something like that. So we've got a lot of beer to have a look at today, and I'm definitely looking forward to this one. It's always cool to try breweries like this who you normally wouldn't encounter, so I do need to get over to New England and explore some of these kind of little local breweries, so hopefully that's something I can do in the future. But very excited to try this one. Thank you to my mum and dad for bringing me it, and I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Whetstone Station Brewery. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel uses a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Whetstone Station Brewery. So as I mentioned to you, these guys are based in Brattleboro in Vermont, which is in the very southern part of the state. If you look at where Boston is over in Massachusetts and Albany in New York, it's kind of right in the middle of that and just north a little bit. But the brewery was set up back in 2011 by 3 local business owners. So this was Tim and Amy Bradley and also David Hyler. So the 3 often worked out of state previously, and they met up in places like Anaheim, Atlanta, Charleston, loads of other different cities at local brew pubs, and just used to sit and chat away. But at one of these meetings, Tim and David started chatting about the idea of starting their own brewery restaurant, and Tim had been previously running his own bed and breakfast with craft beer bar, and he'd done this for about 5 years or so. And David also wanted a career change because his work was keeping away from his family quite a lot, and they'd both apparently been saddened by the loss of the Riverview Cafe in Bridge Street in Brattleboro, and they wanted to resurrect it. One of them wanted to do a restaurant and the other one wanted to do a brewery, so they thought, why not combine the two? But the group later bought this restaurant, bought the premises back in 2011, and with the help of various people in the local community, they managed to revamp the premises into the brewery restaurant that they wanted to create. So over time they've expanded it to include a beer garden, they've got a campground there, they've also got an inn, and they've got an entertainment centre. All the while they've been increasing their beer repertoire. My mum and dad said it was actually quite nice. They did go in and I think eat their dinner there, and they said they quite enjoyed it. But they've got 4 or 5 different beers. There was a stout, there was a double IPA, there was the Session IPA, and I've got a feeling there was like a wheat beer or something like that as well. So they've got 4 or 5 of their own beers, and they do have a lot of guest beers from further afield and from the kind of local area in Vermont, Massachusetts, New York kind of thing. But meant to be very, very good, and hopefully I can get out to Brattleboro and have a little look at this for myself at some point in the future. But as I said, a big thank you to my mum and dad for bringing this beer back for me to try. So that's all you need to know about the brewery just now. As I always say, the brewery website's in the description below. If you want to go and have a little look at all the different things that they do, then by all means have a look at the website. But we're going to have a taste of this beer just now. So I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork again. There you can see, quite nicely presented, this one. There you can see Whetstone Vermont style Session IPA, and then they've got this nice artwork. All the different beers that these guys do, by the way, have a very similar style of artwork. It's just usually a different colour scheme that's on them. It says on the side here, brewed and packaged by Whetstone Craft Beers at Whetstone Station, Brattleboro, Vermont. And yeah, Independent Craft Brewers Association, 4.3%, 32 fluid ounces. As I say, I think in real people measurements, that is about 800 millilitres, 900 millilitres, something like that. But, you know, basically it's a beast of a can. I have never seen a beer can as big as this. But without further ado then, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting. Apparently I'll get 10 cents back depending on what state I take the can to. So let me just see if I can actually get this thing open. Nah, I'm going to have to use this guy. Yeah. It's always annoying when you're doing videos. Right. There we are. Nice. A little bit of bubble coming out it, and there we go. You can smell that nice hop. I think there's some Simcoe and stuff in here, probably some Citra as well. But yeah, one of the problems you have with these big beer cans is they will bubble up with that, but there's some lovely fruity aromas coming off it. This is going to be good, I can tell by the smell, there's some lovely hops in this. So yeah, as you can see, and as you would expect, it's poured a lovely kind of hazy, golden, New England style IPA sort of colour. So with this one you've got 2.5 fingers of a big frothy white head. That's obviously just because it's been kind of brought over on the plane and things, it's stirred up a little bit. So if you get this locally, you probably won't quite have the same amount of carbonation with it, but quite a few big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, but it looks really nice, and pretty much as you would expect from this beer style. You are seeing that on the camera quite nicely, but let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Oh, that's oranges and tangerines. I think there's mosaic in there. Yeah, I definitely think there's a bit of mosaic in there. Maybe a little bit of citra or something like that as well, but mosaic, I'm sure of it. Tangerines and oranges right away. It's more leaning towards the tangerine side of things as well, and that's what makes me think mosaic. When you get Amarillo, it's always a little bit more of an oily orange, if that makes sense. The tangerines that you get from mosaic are just that little bit lighter and almost a little bit more kind of juicy, and it just comes across as a little bit of a lighter, almost candied fruit aroma a little bit. But yeah, there's a wee bit of a sort of, I think there's a wee bit of mango in there. There's something that's in there that's telling me there might be a little bit of citra or something, or Simcoe. You can smell a little bit of that juicy tropical fruit as well. There's a wee bit of a kind of grapefruity underbase, I think, but mainly the fruity notes in this one are definitely tangerines. There's a bit of floral aromaticity, definitely a little bit of grassy note. You can smell some of this kind of white bready base and sort of biscuity character that you expect of one of these New England Session IPAs, or just a New England IPA in general, I should say. But definitely the fruity character in this one is most certainly, it's definitely tangerines. I'm sure there's mosaic in this one, but yeah, there's a little bit of a kind of candied fruit thing that comes out later. Maybe a little bit of a slightly red fruity thing, which is quite interesting. But yeah, tangerines and oranges all the way. A little bit of a sort of gooseberry character, I think. Yeah, a wee bit of gooseberry, a little bit of lychee, something like that. That's what's making me think there's citra. I think there's maybe a wee bit of mango in there. There could be a little bit of citra, but most definitely I'm certain there's mosaic in this beer. Certain about that. Might be wrong right enough, do correct me if I am wrong, but from the aroma, I think there's a little bit of mosaic in it. It doesn't really matter what hops are in it, they all have different flavours of course, and these American hops are pretty damn awesome. What matters is if the beer is good, and we're going to find that out now. So this one is the Whetstoner Session IPA from the Whetstone Station Brewery in Brattleboro over in Vermont in America. Let's feel the burn. Thank you to my mum and dad for bringing this beer over for me. Slàinte. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, as a session IPA, as you can guess by the name, the whole idea with these is just to be nice, easygoing and drinkable. And it's certainly that. This is a good beer. As I always say, before you start analysing the flavour too much, sugar the beer around your palate and just let your whole mouth adjust to it. But this is really nice. I mean, straight away, with this one, you get the nice malt base coming out of it. You can feel a little bit of that white bready character in there. There's a little bit of graininess to it as the flavour progresses. As you go further into the aftertaste, you get a little bit of that slightly grainy character. You can feel a little bit of that almost kind of dextrosy thing coming out of it. Right in the middle of your palate, there's a little bit of a biscuity sweetness in there. There's a wee bit of an almost buttery flavour as well. But it does seem, you know, the whole malt base does go together really quite well. There's a nice bit of hoppy bitterness to it as well. This beer, I should point out, is probably about maybe about 3 weeks old at the time that I'm drinking this, because my mum and dad just got back. They just gave me this one, and I think they got it a week before they flew. But it does still taste pretty fresh. But that's good. I certainly do like that. So yeah, in terms of the hoppy side of things, you can feel there's a little bit of earthiness in the back corners of your palate. You do expect that a little bit with mosaic, but as you come further forward along the sides of your palate, there's a nice little bit of floral aromaticity. You can feel there's a tiny little bit of pine resin, but mainly for me, it's a slightly spicy floral character. Round the front curve of your palate, it becomes a little bit more grassy. There's almost a little bit of a slightly lemongrassy quality to this one. Not too much, that's very minimal. It is just a kind of straight up, almost grassy quality that comes out of this beer. But overall, it's just everything goes together really well. The idea behind these session IPAs, like I was saying, is that they're supposed to be nice and easy going and drinkable, and it's certainly that. And it is cool, like I say, to have a sort of 750, 800 milliliter can. That's a beast of a can to have. But yeah, in terms of the fruitiness of this one, as I always say, the fruity character comes out just on that little oily bubble that you get behind the very front curve of your palate. And yeah, I want to say there's a bit of mosaic in there. There is something that's making me want to say Simcoe as well. A little bit of the flavour that I'm getting in this, there does seem to me, some of the flavours that come off, it does seem to be a little bit of passion fruit, which is quite interesting. I didn't pick that up in the aroma right enough. But I think definitely mosaic, you're getting a little bit of tangerine. There's maybe a wee tiny bit of grapefruit there just underpinning things. But yeah, a little bit of passion fruit, some tangerine oranges, and then as you progress further into the flavour, you get a little bit of this sort of kind of lychee sort of thing. I'm not picking up too much of the citra in the way that I thought I was before. The citra, of course, is when you get these mangoes and lychees and things like that. There is a little bit of lychee, kind of gooseberry sort of thing coming out of this beer in the aftertaste, but mainly it's the oranges and tangerines, and I do want to say there's a little bit of a sort of mango-y thing in there as well. But you know, as far as flavours go, everything goes together very well, and it does the whole kind of session IPA thing. It does that whole style really quite well. Everything blends together really well. It's nice and easy going. It's got a nice balance of flavour, and that's everything that you want from a session IPA. In terms of mouthfeel then, you know, I'd say this one's mid-bodied. The carbonation on it's quite smooth. It's got a little bit of an oily mouthfeel to it, but at the same time, it is quite smooth overall. There's a good little bit of hoppy bitterness, which is what you want from the IPA. The malt base has a good balance between the smoothness. It also has a little bit of sweetness in there, so it balances out quite nicely. And then you've got some of these nice juicy fruits as well. And as you lean in further and further into the aftertaste, a little bit of that malty character sits there, but some of the hoppy bitterness just lingers in the fruity character as well. The whole thing basically just goes together really, really well. The session IPAs, like I say, they're supposed to be easygoing beers that you can just sit in session, hence the name, and this one certainly does that. So yeah, it'd been really cool to try this one. So I'd love to try some of their other beers. I'd love to try their kind of heavier IPA and see how they get on, because obviously this one is not such an extreme beer. It would be cool to try one of their more extreme ones and see how that comes across. But in terms of a nice easygoing drinking IPA, they've certainly done a great job with the Whetstoner. So I'd love to go to the restaurant, try some of their food, try some of their beers, and just see how it is. But yeah, the Whetstoner Session IPA from the Whetstone Station Brewery in Brattleboro in the south of Vermont. It's been really cool to do one of my first craft beers from Vermont. As I say, hopefully the rest of America starts to feel the burn in the same way that Vermont does. I'll just sit and eat the ice cream just now and wait for Bernie to take over. But yeah, really, really nice beer, this one, and I'm glad I got to try it. So thank you to you guys for watching. Thank you to my parents for giving me this beer. As always, let me know your own thoughts on it in the comment section below. Do let me know some of the other Vermont breweries that I should check out, and I'll make a list for when I eventually do get back to the States to visit them. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. If you've enjoyed the review, please consider subscribing, check out my social media and all that kind of thing, but make sure you support your local craft breweries and have a go at some of these Whetstone Station beers if you get the chance. Until the next time, it's Slans just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Whetstoner Session IPA from Whetstone Station Brewery in Brattleboro, Vermont. Feel the burn.